It's Spoilerin time! I'm Tom Merritt. Brian Brushwood is with me, and we are going to spoil you like a little girl on Christmas.
We're just going to pinch those cheeks. We're just going to give you anything you want.
Bag full of treats. Dollies.
Come here,
and
you.
oranges and...
Sit out here. Have a seat on our lap, and let's tell you a little story about a little show called...
The Leftovers.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Starring the suspiciously pretty Liv Tyler.
She's a minor character, but she's so hot.
Well, she's getting more. I feel like they're building her to become a more major character in the cult.
Yeah,
because we're seeing her whole process of adapting to it, and she went silent.
Well, yeah, that's right. She wrote the words "I'm ready," dressed up in white, and I loved the whole fake out thing. I thought it added another layer to the rules of this cult. That there's this psych out moment where they go down for pancakes, and the leader just chit chatting away about this, that, and the other thing, like everything's fine.
Oh, in the diner,
yeah.
That was a test. And I what I did enjoy, I thought it was a little bit hokey how the leader could just be like, oh, come on. Let's just us girls here talking about pancakes, right? But the fact that she never talked.
Right.
And she was like, I don't think it is okay for me to talk, even though you're telling me it. It's very cult-like behavior. Like,
yeah.
As soon as she talked, she would have got slapped sort of situation.
I did not read it as a test so much.
Well, but that's what I love about the scene is that you'll never know.
I know. Well, it could be that she's like, hey, if you need this moment of weakness, right, I'm going to be here for you. Oh, you don't need it? Well, that's the way this other girl was too. And it is. I agree. It's like I didn't know.
And you just don't know if that was a setup or if it was like a legitimate, like you need the safety valve and that's okay.
It's weird to see so many people caring about so many other people in this weird way. And it's like you have this menace, the menace being the simmering hate against the GR. Is that what it is? The Giardia? Like letter G, letter R.
GDR.
The
German Democratic
something
Republic.
Remember.
The Galactic Remembrance.
The guilty remnant.
The
guilty remnant. Yeah. You have this simmering hate against the guilty remnant that's boiling over. I love that it's a faceless bad guy right now. It's not like you have somebody hating and shouting and driving. You know, it's like there's something. It's a voiceless bad guy. It's a grassroots hatred of the tactics, and they're dick tactics. Like the GR are. I'm not saying they're good people or bad people. The most aggressive thing they
have done so far is go into somebody's house and take away their pictures, which is a dick move.
But I got the impression they went into their own houses.
Was it just
their own pictures?
Pictures? Okay.
Like the houses they left, which changed it to me. Like if that's the case.
I didn't catch that.
Well, I mean, they didn't say it. But it, I suspect that's what it was.
Well, and I guess because she was taking pictures from the chief's house, that is her house.
Right. I think everybody went to their own house and they stole their own pictures. And they.
But that's still a dick move because there's other people living in that house
PR, right?
Now they don't even have a picture of you.
Loved seeing the increasingly less fictitious dog shooting guy. Like
other people saw him definitively.
Yeah, but even then he's like, you don't even live here, and the guy's like, what are you talking? Yeah, of course I do. Like I there's still just enough question. Like what is going on?
Has he been around for a while? Sure. That's a very Stephen King like character.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Where he just kind of shows up, and you're not sure if he's real, but then other people see him, but you can't remember him always being there. But everybody seems to think he's always been there, and nobody acts weird that he is there. And where did he come from? And
I wish I could remember the name of our main character, the police chief. Do you remember his name?
Kevin.
Gavney or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember the last name.
Garvey or whatever.
I just know that the mayor is always like, Kevin.
I'm in love with the mayor. Mayor's great.
Mayor's my only character I like, actually.
Oh, no. I deeply connect with the police chief character.
Oh,
he is a guy placed in an untenable, mind-breakingly difficult situation. Like not only is the world flipped upside down, his dad, left the post. He's put into a position that he feels out of his depth to do. He's holding on to. He's losing touch with his family or whatever. And and it pained me the whole episode long to see like he's not hugging his daughter. He's not telling her he loves her. He's not doing the things that I want to do as a father. And that moment at the end when he finally tells her, your mom and I are getting a divorce, and he, you know, the tears stream, and he's like, I love you. It's the first time you've ever heard him this whole show say it, because there's obviously some disconnect there. And even though it wasn't like a huggy moment or whatever, to me, that's what made it all the more poignant and painful for me to watch. It was I
am just not digging it as much as you. And I've been trying to figure out why. Part of it is probably because I lack a soul. I'm not of this world. No, no. I mean, because everything you just said, I'm like, yeah, that's all true, and it's very compelling. And it's not like I didn't feel that when I watched it. But I think what it is it's all about expectations, right? And I really liked the part where we saw the Reverend in the original left, you know, like the day that it happened flashback. And I like the mystery that's boiling up. It could go a little more, it'll go a little faster. I kind of like the guilty remnant. I like Huggy Guy. But there's just not enough of that. The show's most important parts, as you've just described, could be just a small town drama without any science fiction element whatsoever. I think
I'm okay with that, and I think
but then I would just be like, that's a show me a small town drama thing.
That's a show I would never watch. I would never turn it on.
But you're not giving me, and this isn't. I'm not arguing that you're wrong. You're not giving me enough of the other stuff to keep me interested.
Yeah,
I just feel like, if I wanted that kind of show, I'd go watch ABC Family.
It was a powerful moment for me. You know, it's like you had the whole diner test with the guy's wife, and then here's what impressed me was, like, even though everybody hates the guilty remnant, you know, you got the police chief. It's his job to protect him. So he's like, look, here's whistles, you know, do this. I'm trying to do something or whatever. And then you've got this priest who's lost everything to the guilty remnant. They're the dick brigade. You know, they're bad people. I don't even know if they're bad necessarily, but they're just jerks about it. And he lost his church to them or whatever, but he forgives them. And somebody dies and he wants to pray over her. And he goes and he can't. He's like, I got to do something because I care and it's in me. So he goes and he gives words and he's like, I don't understand what you're doing, but I care and I want to do my thing for you. And then just the response of her going out like, oh, she's breaking finally. He got through to her or whatever. And instead, ex-wife just blows that whistle. I've never seen a whistle blown with more hate.
Yeah. Here's the thing. That scene on its own, like the did I get through to her when I poured my heart out, could be in any good drama of any kind. And so what I want from this is, but really the Reverend, and maybe we'll find this out later on. Really, the Reverend isn't being genuine when he says these things. There's another secret to him, and we found out some of his secrets so far. And she knows it, which is why she blows the whistle in his face. But right now, I just feel like it's a lot of setup, and I'm really hoping there's a payoff on some of the secrets and the mysteries, because that's what I watched The Leftovers for, is all these people disappeared. Now I want to explore why. I'm not saying it has to be, you have to answer all the questions, which is always the big problem on Lost, but give me more mystery.
Right.
Give me more looking, what is the guilty remnant about? Because I'm sure we're being set up to learn more about what's up with them. And there might or might not be a connection between them and Huggy Guy. Yeah. Which we didn't really see much of.
No, good. That's my least favorite thread. And his son, the fact that he didn't hear from his son or the sex doll for whoever, maybe that'll turn around and turn it into something I care about. But, you know, I wonder if it's more my attraction for this is less that I guess I trust that it's going to go somewhere interesting and continue to go somewhere interesting. And in the meantime, it's not done anything to push me away, because Orphan Black had a couple moments where I was like, is it one of these kind of shows? You know, like,
well, see, and I'm having that with Leftovers, where I'm like, it's only episode 5. I'm not going to bail.
Right.
Because I feel like there's a lot of setup going. And sometimes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., primary example, you got to get way in before the setup pays out. Fringe is another one.
And I could never make it through both Fringe and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I failed to do it because there was too much like, really? You know, it is like, to be honest, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of over the moment they spent the whole time talking about a car and the car flew around like a cartoon.
Oh, yeah. You got to go way past that.
It was too much. I never gave it another chance.
We'll give it another chance. Okay, but that's separate. That's separate.
In all my free time, I'll make sure to do that.
Yeah, come on. What are you doing with your life?
But do we want to jump over to Orphan Black?
Yeah, well, it was a good transition because you mentioned Orphan Black, and you watched how many episodes? 3 or 4?
4 episodes.
I'm
up to episode 6 or 7 now.
And how are you doing now?
Loving it. And again, part of it is I finally had a full-on day off and just sat and watched a bunch of those. And I gave myself permission to at least pretend like I was going to be doing other busy work while I was watching it, which allowed me to get through it. But very quickly, I just stopped and just only was focused on it. I'm deeply in love with Cosima, even though she I don't have the right equipment for her.
She's the dreadlock.
Clone.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great because I don't want to make the mistake of rating the story higher just because of the technical achievement of it all being just one actress.
Mm-hmm.
But that is impressive.
Have you had that moment where you're like, oh, that is Tatiana?
Well, there's a low grade always remembering thing, but there's brief moments that I slip out and come back. I'm like, wow, man, that's really
exactly.
good. And to me, the best parts are the nuanced things where she is an American trying to affect a Cockney accent or whatever, or
class,
Canadian. Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating, and I would love to hear more about the behind the scenes, and I'd also like to know functionally, because like it doesn't look like they're just spray painting some yellow color on her hair. Like she has bleached blonde hair at this point.
I think they're wigs.
She had. I mean, maybe they're all whatever it is. They're good. Is what I'm saying,
yeah.
right? I mean, like she definitely has Veronica Belmont's haircut here. I mean, she very much has whatever over here. We had talked about this last night. There was one brief moment that I thought we were going to get a Game of Thrones level shocker twist where they introduced the idea of the monitors and but also that there's a double blindness to the monitors, so they don't even know necessarily what they're monitoring. And is Pete, was that his name or whatever, has the gun out and is like genuinely losing his shit about like, is this a test? What's going on? And he's like genuinely angry, like, you killed her. I mean, I thought for a second he was gonna pull that trigger, and that was gonna be the 6-episode, the Ned Stark experience for Orphan Black.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this yesterday, I know I pointed out that while that would have been amazing, and they could have pulled it off with a different kind of story, the key to Orphan Black to me, and I hope this isn't spoiling you because I think it's already evident, is that Sarah Manning is the exception.
She's special.
She's not been part of the program, and she has a daughter, and so she's got all of these elements to her life.
Oh, wait.
She's been adopted.
I didn't even put that together. She didn't have, or at least at this point in the story as I've seen it, she is the only one who hasn't had a monitor.
She's been outside the system.
Wow.
And so
and fertile and
so all of a sudden you're like, well, and how if you kill her, then it's like, well, we're back to having the clones under control, and she almost is the only one who has to live. You can kill all the other clones.
Yes. Yeah. No. All right. I guess. And who knows? Maybe they will all die. But I'll tell you this much: I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really all in. And
Dr. Leakey showed up.
Yeah, it was great. And first of all, like they mentioned, we saw his TED Talk, and it goes in, and his presentation is so TED Talky with the coordinated visuals and all this stuff and the little joke moments. And then it strikes me, and I'm like, wait, that's Matt Frewer, that's Max Headroom. This is amazing.
Yeah. No, that's a cool moment. So yeah, I'm glad to see you're getting into it, and I think the binge watching this particular series.
Benefits from it, yeah.
Binge watching definitely helps.
Yeah. What about you? Speaking of binge watching, you are plodding through The Shield. What do you want?
I am. Yes, I watched The Shield, season 2, episode 11, which is Inferno. Gardaki comes up with the plan to get the garbage disposal truck for the money train heist to be able to get 2 of them in.
It's all coming together.
And so,
and this is the thing: is to pull off the big heist. There's a bunch of little pieces that they have to pull mini jobs in to get set up.
Yeah.
And it's so every individual episode you have this little crisis, this little goal that has to be locked in.
And of course the hilarious bit about like the garbage truck sideswiped 2 cars. Was that you guys? And like, oh yeah, it took a little while to get under control. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Whoa. Like, you guys really want to pull off a money train? If that's your level of competence, maybe we need to think about this. Also, the auditor tried to win over the new member of the strike team,
Tavon.
Tavon.
Yeah.
And Tavon basically blew her off.
Yeah, so he made a decision that he's on the team.
And said, yeah, he did break the law. He parked more than 6 inches from a curb. Listen, lady, you want more than that. You're parking up the wrong thing.
You're barking up the wrong new character on the show.
Exactly. Wagenbach and Wims had a nice procedural story, which just kind of strengthened their relationship. But it's the one where the woman seduces her boss and then claims rape. And at first they're like, yeah, there can't have been a rape. And then it turns out, well, I guess there must have been a rape because they brought in a condom with the DNA sample. And then it turns out the mom and the daughter have been blackmailing the guy. So it's a really complex case, because then it becomes, well,
do we get any
still rape? I don't know. But Wagenbach and Wims had a really good relationship strengthening side story there, where they were trying to help each other out, figure this out, because they were both like, well, wait a minute, but this doesn't match up with this.
And at this point, Aceveda's still gunning for city council, right?
Yeah, Aceveda was not very much in this episode.
Yeah.
He was just sort of like, Vic, you need to do things. And then Vic's like, yeah, busy. I'll do some more things later. And that was kind of the extent of that. It just kind of kept that pot boiling for you, but there wasn't much progress in that. He did file the divorce papers on the advice of his buddy, who always gives him bad advice, the private investigator. And that has now driven his wife away.
Oh, Mackey's?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's the other thing, man. The fact that they're able to build all this in while his marriage is melting down right in front of him.
And she was only going to the lawyer because a friend forced her to, and then she was trying to get her deposit back, and he got convinced that she was going to, that he needed to strike first.
Oh.
And now she saw that he's having an affair because she saw the purse and the heels.
Yeah.
So she's pissed, and now she's turned against him.
That's crazy.
And then at the whole main procedural story is that the strike team takes down this visiting gangbanger. I think he's from Detroit. Based on a tip that they wrench out of the musician, the rap artist.
Oh, yeah.
By promising that they'll set him up, and then come back and go, yeah, sorry, we lied.
Wow. Yes.
And he's like, you what? It's like, look, I'm just being honest with you here. No hard feelings. Like, oh, that's not smart.
Yeah.
That's going to come back to bite you.
Well, yes, it certainly will. But also it's like in his mind, he's like, well, this, to him, confidential informants are like cell phones, and when the minutes are used up, you're like, yeah, burned, whatever, next one, drop it.
Yeah, but you could tell they're setting this
up.
And I know you
what's going to happen.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, let's move on to the coup de piece de grace.
The only thing that matters.
Makes me want to try to learn French. Is so good.
We didn't even talk about it last night, but that brief reference in Guardians of the Galaxy when he's like, what's the deal with this orb? It's got a whole Maltese Falcon Ark of the Covenant feel to it. Like, just call it out that it's like a
What's
MacGuffin.
the deal with this MacGuffin?
Yes, exactly.
Because it's like it really doesn't matter what it does.
Right?
We just all need to chase after it. And that I am solidified in what my opinion was after we watched it immediately last night. The success of this movie versus the Avengers success, which arguably is still a bigger success. But the success of Guardians of the Galaxy is they're saying, here are 5 characters that come together to fight the bad guys, but they act the way you would act if you were trying to be the superheroes.
Extremely relatable in all those moments where they'll get like a sentence into the expository dialogue and then just get distracted. Be like, why are you talking that way? Or my favorite, most real moment was Drax saying like, wait, what? And he was like, this, and he was like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I wasn't listening.
I wasn't listening.
And they're not, the brilliance of them, I think, beat wise, is they're not like one-off one-liners. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Ha, ha, ha. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was drifting off. And you like real people would just
talk.
Keep talking a little too much, a little longer than they should. And I think that tone was set right from the beginning, because Eileen was into the movie. She was into seeing it. She was excited. But as soon as he is listening to Redbone walking through a deserted alien settlement, dancing around with Walkman headphones on, she's like, I'm in.
Yeah,
this is great, because that's what you would do if you were alone in an alien settlement, because you wouldn't care whether people saw you or not. There's nobody here.
Right.
I'm just going to dance around, listen to my music.
Some great payoffs. The fact that he spends the entire movie trying to build his reputation as Star-Lord, and then at the moment when he's clearly screwed, outnumbered, outgunned, and the guy says Star-Lord, and when he should be afraid, instead there's just genuine joy on his face that he's built his reputation.
It's like, finally.
I loved it, and I look forward to watching it again next week when I go home and get a chance to visit with Bonnie. The star of the show, and I was joking about this last night on Twitter, making some references to The Simpsons, saying that my only improvement was every moment that Rocket wasn't on screen, everyone should be looking around saying, "Where's Rocket?" like he was an astonishing triumph of storytelling. And Justin Robert Young told me that when they shot it, they did not have settled who the voices of Groot or Rocket were going to be. So all the actors there, Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana and so on, like Dave Bautista, they are acting towards tennis balls. They have no idea who is going to say it or how he's going to say it.
And that would have been true anyway, but at least if they had been cast, they would, hey, okay, I've got in my mind, I've heard some of the tracks, I know who this person is. They're like, yeah, it could be anybody.
But they do, and they do an astonishing job, man. Like, here's what's amazing. I asked on Twitter, like, which is the greater technological or greater achievement of character development for computer-generated characters, Caesar from Rise of the Planet of the Apes or Rocket from Guardians?
That's a tough call.
What do you think? Because there's a subtlety of emotion that comes through in Caesar, and you feel.
I'd almost want to give it to Rocket because he's so clever and enjoyable, but Caesar was harder to pull off.
I'm full on giving it to Rocket because Rocket had range. Because
I guess that's what I was stumbling about trying to put my finger on. The surface, there's more range to Rocket.
Yeah, on the surface.
But Caesar had to have subtlety in a face that doesn't have subtlety. With Rocket, they could get away with like, it's not really a raccoon. It's a comic book movie.
I mean, that's what's amazing.
Whereas with Caesar, they're like, no, we're going to make him an ape, which means we don't have a lot to work with.
Okay, well, no, you've got a whole lifetime of apes to work with. Like, we don't have. I mean, I guess we have raccoon photos or whatever, but we don't have talking raccoons. But
we don't have
also,
talking apes either. Well, I guess what I'm saying is you can break the rules with Rocket and have him smile, even though raccoons cannot actually smile.
That's true.
Whereas with Caesar, I think they bent the rules, but they tried to stay pretty much like if an ape can't do it, Caesar can't do it either.
Here, there's two aspects to it. There's the technological aspect, and both of which are extraordinary. They both have an amazing ability to convey little bits of nuanced emotion. However, it also matters what the character is. Like apes don't want war. We get it. He's the biggest, baddest ape, and he doesn't want to do war. And that's the entire beginning and end of his character. With Rocket, you have, he's sarcastic, but he's brilliant. He's confused. He's deeply hurt. And the racking sobs that you get when he's there over Groot's body, like you believe it, and you believe the shame that he feels. And I don't know. I haven't seen.
Although, I mean, if you could just grow Groot back, it's not nearly as the stakes aren't nearly.
Well, okay.
As high.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that they didn't know if they would be able to grow Groot back. I mean, I don't think he was sobbing.
Probably should have.
Well, okay. Well, we don't know how bad the damage is. There was fire. If you burn up a plant, you can't replant it. Is what I'm saying. From beginning to end, it was a. Oh, let's talk real quick. This was the first time I've ever been pleased to pay a $20 ticket to watch a 3D IMAX presentation. Visually, this movie really, really popped, and I think it mattered a lot.
This was the first time in a long time where I didn't forget that I was watching a 3D movie while watching a 3D movie, and was like, ooh, that scene looked really good in 3D.
Yeah.
Right? There's two ways to not forget. There's not forgetting in the bad way, which is like, it was not necessary. Why did they do that? Which did not happen for me in Guardians of the Galaxy. Instead, there was a few of those space scenes with the ships where I'm like, whoa, that's a good use of 3D. That is gorgeous. Really enjoyed that.
And to me, I like the more subtle stuff. And it was a very weird moment for me. My favorite moment from the 3D perspective was when they were in the middle of having a conversation, and all of a sudden this human, just a guy, walks into the spaceship, And then I realized that was just a person from the front row walking across. And
that did not happen to me.
For this brief moment, like I was lost enough in the 3D that I got confused about my spatial awareness. It was the
walls of reality melted for Brian.
For a brief moment. It was a really cool moment. One of the complaints, Jason didn't like that was the Nova Force, is that what they're called? The Nova
Something
Gang
like that,
or whatever.
Nova
you know,
Gang.
we're sort of portrayed as, you know, clowns, you know, like the F Troop or whatever, whereas they should have been more like badass, like the Green Lantern.
And he said in general that he thought it was a little silly. And we're not speaking for Jason, and Jason very much said he loved the movie.
Yeah.
He didn't dislike the movie in any way, but he thought he thought if it was missing anything, he would have liked more gravitas. He also fan of the comic books, and I think that
and not even
we're
a crazy
dealing with
fan.
a reverse Walking Dead for us, right? Yeah. Which is like, if you're a fan of the comic books, you're going to have a certain expectation of what you want, and maybe this doesn't give you that.
Yeah, it was also a lot of fun to just watch friend of the show Michael Rooker be Rooker as hell. You know,
he was very Rooker. He was very Merle, very Rooker.
It was great, man,
and it worked. The character was that kind of character, and so it didn't bother me. Although apparently that's not the way that character is in the comic book.
Yeah, but who cares? Whatever. But the what was the other thing? Visually as a treat. I was engaged the entire time.
I am Groot. Totally worked. I mean, I was suspicious at first. I'm like, they can't carry this on the whole movie. And if they try, it's just going to fall flat. In fact, they carried it off so damn well that when he actually said, "We are Groot," I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, I was too.
I was
actually.
Like, no, just
say,
like,
you broke the rules.
I am Groot, and like give him a kind of a metaphorical hug to give us the idea that he means we are Groot.
Right. No, I
would
agree.
have almost like, that's super picky. I mean, come on, if that's my complaint.
I will say that you know, I don't think I've really watched any of James Gunn's other stuff. I know he directed Super, but for whatever reason, I didn't see Super. What was the other? There was another movie, Slither. He did, right?
Yes, he's the creator of Slither.
Yeah, and
Nicole Perlman, first major motion picture that she wrote. And Gunn got a writing credit on it too, but apparently Nicole Perlman was the writer of this.
It's great.
And honestly, I think that is the premier aspect of this movie, is the writing.
Yeah.
And the acting that delivered it was note perfect.
Sure.
And Drax is another example of he's like the greatest example of this writing shining through, because there's that other part where he's like, that would I'm sorry, it goes over your head. He's like nothing would go over my head, because I would catch it.
Yes.
I have very quick reflexes. I would catch it.
Literal at all times.
It's that third beat that you're not expecting of, because I would catch it.
Yeah,
like,
yes.
Did he really just keep going?
When they start talking the way we would actually talk, yeah. No, it was great. It was great. And I know maybe I'm alone in this, but what I love about this movie is that on paper, there's no way this should work. There's nothing about this that should work as well as it does. And certainly the climactic ending, when I'm tearing up and heart swelling as I watch 5 aliens hold hands, I'm just like, really? But it's like, I bought it. I bought all of it. And I was all the way in. It was great.
Yeah, I loved it from beginning to end. I am intrigued to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 now.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe the reason that I've heard some people say they would not say it is as good as the Avengers, and you've said this previously, is because we haven't had as much time to invest in these characters. Marvel did a long slog to build up Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and these guys, we just got to meet them in this movie. But I also think that's one of the greatest strengths of this movie, is that I've only just met these 5 characters, and I love them all now.
Man, I tell you what, bar's been set, J.J. Abrams. I mean, Star Wars needs to deliver.
I don't know that this is at all. I mean, the Avengers is what Star Wars is going to be. Star Wars isn't going to be a ridiculously funny and silly, quippy movie like this.
It's going to be a patchwork quilt of all different alien races and variety. Like, we haven't tasted this.
But this is a comic book movie. Star Wars is not going to be a comic book movie.
I just hope it's as good as this.
All right.
Yeah, and I hope it's
as good
like
as the
sequels.
Avengers.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Because I wanted to have more gravitas. I'm with Jason, not on Guardians of the Galaxy, but yes, Guardians of the Galaxy didn't have as much gravitas. I'm fine with it not having it, but I definitely want Star Wars to have it. I want it to be dirty. I want it to have gravitas. I want it to have good versus evil. I want it to have Jedi and Sith.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's
All
good.
right. Well, I think we've spoiled everything we meant to spoil today, except that ham.
Spoil.
So thank you
your children
for watching
attitudes.
You can find Cordkillers, the main show, at cordkillers.com. If you're one of the few people who are like, wait a minute, is this all I get? No, you get more. There's a main show at cordkillers.com. You can subscribe to it there. And it's Spoilerin time. We'll be back again next week. We'll miss you.
We're not going anywhere.
We're going to sit right here.
And having said that, I'm going to leave right now.
Bye.